What's up, y'all? Today we are back with a speed art breakdown of a national championship graphic or 3. So let's get right into it. So I'm just going to kind of talk about what my process was here. The thought was, if I can make a national championship or national champions graphic and post it on all of the platforms in as many different ways as possible before they actually win the game, then maybe I will get more reach. So I was like, okay, we can make one graphic and it will have 2 different graphics basically built into it. So if you use the sizing 1080 by 1350, I believe, that's like the size of like a regular Instagram graphic. So if you just do that and multiply the width by 2, so you take the 1080 and I just do like 1080 star and put a 2 beside it and it multiplies it by 2. Then the graphic is 2 times the width but the same height. So basically this graphic you're looking at now, and I'm not going to talk about what I'm doing currently because I'm just cutting stuff out and changing the colors and stuff, so you know all this stuff. But anyway, if you make the graphic 2 times the width, then you basically have like 2 Instagram graphics side by side. So that's what I have right here. And then when you export them, you can export it as one horizontal graphic or you can export it as 2 vertical graphics if you just crop it. So like what I would do is just finish the graphic and then crop it to only the left side. It would be like a 1080 by 1350 crop on the left side, and do the same thing for the right side. And then so you can post it side by side on like Instagram and Twitter, and you can basically get the look of like having 1 or 2 graphics be like one graphic. So if you're on Instagram, you can have like the scroll, like if you go from left to right, when someone like swipes, it will look like one continuous graphic as they swipe. So that was the goal. So I decided to do that, and my thought at first was I'll just make a separate like NCAA champs graphic for each of the 2 teams that are in it, in attempt to get more reach. I'll make one for each, and then as the game goes on with 5 minutes left, hopefully we'll see a team kind of pulling away. And based off the way UConn was playing, I was pretty certain UConn was going to be the team to pull away because that's what they had been doing for the whole tournament. So I kind of put more emphasis on them, but I decided, I'll go both ways. I was pulling for San Diego State because, you got to pull for the underdog. At least I always pull for the underdog. Obviously, they did not win, but I made it for both teams. So I ended up making one graphic for both teams, and it was just like national championship, and you have San Diego State on the left and UConn on the right. And then I decided I'll make this, maybe I can post this like early before the game starts, get a little more traction, and then once the game is about to end, I'll post the other one along with like some breakdown reels, and we'll see how those do. So, and I ended up just like using basically the same graphic, but I just kind of switched it up a little bit for each of the, like going from like national championship with both teams to like UConn Huskies are national champions and like San Diego State is national champions. But I ended up making little adjustments to each of those to basically have like, yeah, they're separate they're separate graphics. Also here, this guy's hand was on his side, and it like if I just cut it out, it would have looked too thin. So I decided to use a content aware fill and kind of brush that in to make him not look like super weird in the waist, and then just like subtly brush that in. I knew it was gonna be small enough to make it work without people really noticing. So yeah, but anyway, I had the sort of cutouts that I wanted. I knew I wanted like each of their jerseys to be the same, and basically just searched around for large, like tried to find higher quality photos. It was pretty tough, and like, you know, didn't love all of them, but the goal was to find like some good quality photos, and I think I achieved that in some. But yeah, so you can I love symmetry in graphics, so that's what I was going for here. You have like two, or the big guy on both sides close up. Hopefully that's your like extra high quality shot that you can really see the detail like in their skin and faces and stuff. That's just gonna make your graphic look like better than someone else's, is if you have a higher quality cutout. That's like really half the battle right there. So find like one or two like super high quality cutouts and use like them as close-ups, and the other two don't have to be quite as high of quality because they're going to be smaller. And so yeah, this is what I came up with. Luckily they were all wearing the same jerseys. They're all sort of facing in the directions that I wanted them to. And then I knew I wanted to like theme each side, and I decided to go with I just searched up Aztec, and you had either these like, I'm not really sure what they're called, but those like pyramid looking, like maybe they might be tombs, I'm not really sure, but they had a bunch of those for like Aztecs, and then they had this guy kind of dressed up as like an Aztec warrior type dude. And so I put that on the left side and tried to make it like not a lot of a focal point, but just like I want it to be like themed cool, but not like take away from the actual players. So I did that on the left, and then I had the Siberian Husky on the right, and I tried to find like a meaner looking Siberian Husky, but couldn't really pull it off. So this one that I found was just more of the majestic look, and I found that, put it in the back, cut those two out. So here what I'm doing is I just wanted to fill some space. Felt like it was pretty plain and kind of boring, so I was like, I'll put the bracket in there and go from there. And then I was like, okay, so I can fill these squares or rectangles with cutouts, or no, with photos of like each of their like past games, like most exciting moments and that sort of stuff. So I just searched for, I just searched like team name and like win or like NCAA tournament in Google, and found these like pictures. Like that was a celebration shot of the last game they had won with like a buzzer beater shot of the guy shooting the ball. And then for UConn's, I ended up just finding this really cool photo of this guy dunking where he's like sideways, or he's like parallel to the ground. Yeah, there it is. And thought that was a cool shot. And then I couldn't easily find like a celebration shot of all of them, so I just found one of Hawkins, I think is his name. He's a beast. So like one of him kind of celebrating, yelling. And yeah, then I had that in there. Then I decided to put a glow on the bracket. I really was having a tough time like taking this graphic in a certain direction, and I don't know why that is. Like, I guess the background was like a new thing to me, so like I haven't used many backgrounds like that where you have like the gradient from one color to another and then like the grain on top of that. So that's not like this is not a typical graphic for me. So I was kind of like testing a bunch of things out, trying to figure out what direction I wanted to take it. And then I've put in this 3D text that I made, And I'm not sure if that was like the best move, but I kind of just already had that set in my mind to use this 3D text, so I just made that. I like this font. And then I just couldn't decide on how to color the 3D text. So I kind of went back and forth on some things there, because the gold looked the best as far as like the trim, but I didn't think the gold matched the background as well. So I tried like, making it like white on Yukon side and like red or black on the Aztec side, but I just didn't love that. It didn't look like realistic. It looked like kind of too cartoony and fake. So I ended up keeping it as gold, and then I just felt like there was too much going on, so I took out the color in the background and basically just painted in a little burst of color on each side. So I used like their logo colors or their school colors, and then used a brush that was set to dissolve and just brush that in. So like if you use a dissolve brush, it just kind of like looks like spray paint almost. So it's like kind of scattered, speckled look. So then I put some like different effects on the text there, and then I decided, okay, if I have this glow on each side, I can put like some lighting on each of the players, like that color lighting on that side. So for the Yukon side, I had each of them with the blue lighting on the right side of their bodies, because that's where it's coming from. And then for San Diego State, I had that on the left side of their bodies with the red lighting. And then I found this like smoke layer, and I wanted it to be subtle, but it just kind of gives some like texture to the lighting. It's kind of weird or like hard to describe, but basically it just like sort of helps create another light source. And so I did that on the right, gave it like a color dodge filter or something like that. And then on the left, San Diego State is like red and black, so I decided to make theirs a layer style that was like darker. So that was like another thing I was trying to do, is like San Diego State is red and black, so their side was kind of like black themed, whereas Yukon's side was kind of white themed because their color is like blue and white. So that was the goal there. That's why I put the smoke textures in like that. Then down below where the name or where the championship is, like it almost always looks better if you warp it in a certain way. Kind of depends on the graphic and stuff, but I like it better warped usually. So I do that, then I put the national in like a cursive text up top, tweak that a bit. Then I found these spark layers, and I was like, I need a little more. Like it's sort of like, I don't want it to be too cluttered, but I need some more pop, some more flair. And so I found these spark layers, and the one was like a good color for the left side, so then I just put it on the right side as well, and put a hue saturation layer on it and did like the colorize thing, make it blue, and put that over there. And then I just have the same apply image effect that I do on a lot of graphics, put that on at the end to give it some pop. I think I did a radial kind of like zoom blur on the outer edges and just brushed it in, and I liked how that ended up looking. And then I wanted the background characters to stand out a little bit more because the top middle of the graphic seemed a little bit empty, so I just like made them pop a little bit more, trying to find that balance of like not being too cluttered and too much going on, but you want to have enough and not have like too much dead space. And then I use this selective color to basically create my own LUT for the graphic and color it the way I wanted it, which I would highly recommend doing at the end of every graphic. Color it the way you want it. You don't need like to buy people's LUTs and to use a bunch of LUTs. It's easier that way sometimes, and they can be helpful, but like use a selective color and just mess around with the sliders. You can figure it out yourself. But anyway, check out my social media to see if any of the posts blew up. At this point, I have not looked. I wasn't super ecstatic about them when I finished with them, but made them in one day, didn't have like a ton of planning, and this is how that came out. So if you want these graphics, check out my Patreon for this graphic and some others.